strange truth about human behavior appears again and again in life. Respect is rarely lost in one big moment. It disappears slowly, quietly, one small action at a time. It begins when someone starts chasing people who are already walking away. It grows when someone begins begging for attention that is not freely given, and it becomes obvious when someone keeps explaining themselves to people who never planned to understand them in the first place. This pattern repeats everywhere, in friendships, in relationships, at work, even in simple daily conversations. The harder a person tries to hold on, the faster respect slips away. The more someone tries to prove their value, the less valuable they appear in the eyes of others, and most people never notice this happening. They believe effort will fix everything. They believe more words will solve every misunderstanding. They believe that if they just explain a little more, defend themselves a little longer, chase a little harder, people will finally see their worth. But life quietly teaches a very different lesson. History, psychology, and even ancient philosophy point to the same powerful idea. The people who command the most respect rarely fight for attention. They do not chase approval. They do not beg to be valued, and they do not waste energy explaining themselves to those who already decided what they want to believe. Instead, they do something that looks simple on the outside but requires enormous discipline on the inside. They remain silent, not weak silence, not fearful silence, controlled silence. The kind of silence that comes from knowing your worth and protecting your energy. The kind of silence that removes the need to prove anything to anyone. Silence, when used correctly, becomes a powerful signal. It shows calm, it shows self-respect, it shows emotional control. And strangely, the moment someone stops chasing validation is often the moment people begin to respect them more. Modern culture pushes people in the opposite direction. Social media trains the mind to seek constant attention. Every post becomes a request for approval. Every comment becomes a small debate. Every disagreement turns into a long explanation where people fight to prove they are right. The world rewards loud reactions, quick replies, endless arguments, but beneath this noise, a hidden truth exists. The more someone reacts, the easier they become to control. The more someone explains themselves, the more they give others power over their emotions. Manipulative people understand this very well. They push for reactions, they provoke arguments, they create situations where someone feels forced to defend themselves again and again. And when a person keeps explaining, keeps chasing, keeps begging to be understood, they slowly lose something far more important than the argument itself. They lose their presence, they lose their calm, they lose the quiet confidence that naturally commands respect. Ancient Stoic thinkers understood this long before the modern world. Philosophers like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus taught that true strength is not shown through loud reactions. Strength appears when a person chooses where their energy goes. They taught that not every criticism deserves an answer, not every insult deserves a response, and not every person deserves an explanation. Some battles only drain your mind and steal your peace. The wise learn to step away from these battles. They learn that silence can protect dignity in ways that endless words never can. A calm mind has power, a controlled response has power, and silence, when chosen deliberately, becomes one of the most powerful forms of communication. This idea may feel uncomfortable at first. Many people grow up believing they must defend themselves in every situation. They feel pressure to respond immediately when questioned. They believe that walking away means losing, but reality often proves the opposite. The person who remains calm when others expect a reaction suddenly becomes difficult to manipulate. The person who refuses to chase approval becomes more valuable, and the person who speaks less begins to carry more weight in every word they choose to say. Silence creates mystery. Silence creates control. Silence forces people to reflect instead of argue. In this video, 3 powerful rules will be explored. Simple rules that can completely change the way people see you and treat you. The first rule reveals why chasing people almost always destroys your value in their eyes. The second rule exposes why begging for attention quietly destroys self-respect and pushes others even further away. And the third rule explains one of the most underrated principles of mental strength. why explaining yourself to everyone can drain your energy and weaken your position in ways most people never realize. These lessons are not about becoming cold or distant. They are about developing control. They are about understanding human nature. And they are about protecting your dignity in a world that constantly pressures people to prove themselves. By the end of this video, a deeper understanding will emerge about how silence works as a psychological advantage. You will learn why calm people often hold the strongest influence in a room. You will discover how stepping back from arguments can increase your respect rather than reduce it. And you will see why the most powerful individuals rarely waste energy trying to convince others of their worth. Instead, they allow their presence, their actions, and their quiet confidence to speak for them. This shift may look small from the outside, but internally it changes everything. It brings clarity, it brings peace, and most importantly, it returns control back to the person who practices it. Many people search for complicated strategies to gain respect and influence. They read books about persuasion. They practice clever responses. They try to win every debate. Yet one of the most effective forms of strength has existed for thousands of years, hidden in plain sight. The discipline of knowing when not to react. The courage to walk away instead of chase. The wisdom to remain silent when others expect a reaction. This quiet power does not appear overnight. It grows slowly with self-awareness and emotional control. But once it develops, it changes how others see you and how you see yourself. This channel explores ideas exactly like these. Ideas rooted in discipline, mental clarity, and timeless wisdom that help build a stronger mind in a chaotic world. If learning how to protect your peace, strengthen your mindset, and master your reactions sounds valuable to you, then you are in the right place. Subscribe to the channel and join a growing community focused not on temporary motivation, but on lasting mental strength. Now let's begin. Quiet confidence carries a power that most people overlook. It begins with a simple rule that many struggle to follow. Never chase people who are already moving away from you. Chasing seems natural because human beings fear losing connection. When someone pulls back, the instinct is to move closer. When someone becomes distant, the instinct is to try harder. Messages become longer. Explanations become more detailed. Effort increases. Attention increases. But something unusual happens when this pattern begins. The more someone chases, the more control they give away. Attention becomes one-sided. Energy becomes unbalanced. The person being chased slowly becomes the center of power in the relationship. They decide when to respond. They decide how much attention to give back. They decide how the dynamic will continue. And the person doing the chasing becomes trapped in a quiet cycle of approval seeking. This is why chasing destroys respect, even when the intention behind it is honest. Human psychology works in a strange way. People tend to value what appears calm and self-controlled. When someone reacts with desperation or urgency, it signals emotional dependence. It sends a message that their happiness depends on someone else's response. The moment that signal appears, the balance shifts. Respect begins to fade because calm presence disappears. Self-control disappears. The person chasing begins to appear uncertain about their own value. This does not mean they lack worth. It simply means their behavior suggests insecurity. And behavior often speaks louder than truth. When someone stands firm and does not chase approval, their presence feels different. It feels stable. It feels grounded. It suggests that their life continues forward, whether others choose to stay or not. Ancient Stoic thinkers described this kind of discipline in simple words. Focus only on what is within your control. A person's thoughts are not under your control. Their choices are not under your control. Whether they stay in your life or walk away is not under your control. Trying to force control over these things creates frustration and emotional exhaustion. The Stoics believed that energy should only be invested where influence exists. Your actions belong to you. Your reactions belong to you. Your dignity belongs to you. But someone else's decision to remain in your life does not belong to you. This idea can feel harsh at first because it removes the illusion that effort can solve everything. Yet it also creates freedom. When someone understands that chasing cannot control another person's choice, the need to chase begins to fade. Letting people leave is one of the most powerful acts of self-respect a person can practice. It is not about pride or ego, it is about clarity. If someone chooses distance, chasing them rarely changes their mind in a healthy way. It only delays the truth. When someone wants to walk away, the most powerful response is calm acceptance. This response does not come from weakness, it comes from inner stability. It sends a quiet message that your life continues with or without their approval. Ironically, this calm acceptance often increases respect because it removes pressure from the situation. People feel drawn toward those who do not chase them. They feel curiosity toward those who remain steady while others panic. Calm presence becomes attractive because it shows strength of character. A similar principle appears when begging enters a relationship. Emotional begging is rarely recognized in the moment, yet it appears in many forms. Someone begs for love by constantly asking for reassurance. Someone begs for respect by repeatedly asking others to treat them better. Someone begs for attention by sending message after message when replies do not arrive. Someone begs for another person to stay even when their actions clearly show they want distance. Each example carries the same hidden cost. Dignity slowly disappears. Self-respect begins to weaken. The person begging often believes they are fighting for the relationship. In reality, they are fighting against the truth of the situation. Begging creates a painful imbalance. One person becomes the giver of value, while the other becomes the judge of that value. The person begging tries to prove their worth through effort and emotional vulnerability. They hope that if they show enough care, enough loyalty, enough patience, the other person will finally appreciate them. But appreciation that arrives through pressure rarely lasts. True respect grows naturally when two people value each other freely. When someone must be convinced again and again to care, the relationship has already lost its natural balance. Powerful individuals understand this difference. They do not beg because they recognize their own worth. They understand that relationships built on persuasion and pressure rarely create genuine connection. Instead of begging, they quietly step back when respect disappears. Stepping back is not easy. It requires discipline and emotional maturity. It requires accepting that not every connection will remain in your life. Yet this act of stepping back preserves something more valuable than any forced relationship. It preserves dignity. Dignity is silent strength. It is the quiet knowledge that your value does not depend on someone else's temporary attention. When dignity remains intact, a person can walk away from situations that no longer serve them. They do not feel the need to argue for their place in someone's life. They do not feel the need to prove why they deserve respect. They simply recognize that real connection cannot exist without mutual appreciation. Another subtle trap appears when people feel the need to explain themselves to everyone around them. The desire to be understood is natural. Every person wants their intentions to be clear. Yet endless explanations often create the opposite effect. When someone constantly explains their actions, they reveal a deep concern about how others judge them. This concern can be used against them by people who enjoy control or manipulation. Not everyone asks questions because they want truth. Some people ask questions because they want reactions. They want emotional engagement. They want to see someone defend themselves again and again. When a person keeps explaining their choices to such individuals, they become trapped in an endless cycle. Each explanation leads to another question. Each answer leads to another challenge. Energy drains slowly while the other person remains entertained by the conflict. The Stoic mindset approaches this situation differently. It suggests that peace does not require universal approval. A person's actions should reflect their principles, not the expectations of every observer. When someone lives according to clear values, endless explanations become unnecessary. Their behavior already communicates their intentions. Their consistency already demonstrates their character. Words become fewer because actions speak with greater clarity. This principle protects emotional energy. Instead of defending every decision, a person learns to let their choices stand on their own. Those who truly wish to understand will observe carefully. Those who only seek argument will lose interest when explanations disappear. Silence closes the door to unnecessary debate. It removes the fuel that conflict often requires. Silence itself carries a surprising psychological power. In many situations, silence creates more impact than long speeches. When someone refuses to react to provocation, Manipulators often feel confused. Their strategy depends on emotional responses. They expect anger, frustration, or defensive explanations. Without these reactions, their influence weakens. Silence also removes emotional control from others. When someone reacts quickly to every comment or criticism, they reveal that their emotions are easily triggered. Others can predict their behavior and manipulate it. But when a person remains calm and silent, that predictability disappears. No one can easily control someone who chooses when and how to respond. Inner confidence often reveals itself through this kind of calm silence. Confidence does not always appear through bold words or dramatic gestures. Sometimes it appears through stillness. A person who trusts their own worth does not feel the need to defend it constantly. They allow their presence to speak for them. When reactions slow down, space appears within the mind. That space allows self-respect to grow stronger. It allows clarity to replace emotional chaos. Instead of reacting automatically, a person begins to observe situations more carefully. They notice patterns in people's behavior. They recognize manipulation sooner. They choose their responses deliberately rather than emotionally. Stoic philosophy encourages exactly this form of observation. The Stoics believed that peace of mind depends on mastering one's reactions. External events will always occur beyond control. Criticism will appear, disagreements will appear, loss and disappointment will appear. Yet the response to these events remains within personal control. Protecting inner peace becomes a priority. Words are used carefully because unnecessary speech often leads to unnecessary conflict. Silence becomes a tool for discipline. By speaking only when necessary, a person maintains clarity in their communication. Their words carry more weight because they are not scattered across endless arguments. Powerful individuals follow this principle naturally. They do not respond to every insult or criticism they encounter. They observe first. They ask themselves whether the situation deserves their energy. Many situations do not. Many comments exist only to provoke reactions. When reactions never arrive, those comments lose their purpose. Observation creates awareness. Awareness creates better decisions. Instead of fighting every small battle, a person learns to focus on what truly matters. Time and energy are directed toward growth rather than conflict. Relationships that bring respect and support receive attention. Relationships built on manipulation gradually fade away. As chasing stops, an unexpected transformation begins. Life becomes quieter in the best possible way. The constant need to prove worth disappears. The pressure to maintain every connection disappears. Energy returns to personal goals and meaningful relationships. Calm replaces tension. Clarity grows during this stage. Without constant emotional distractions, a person begins to see situations more accurately. They notice which people truly care and which people only appear during convenient moments. They notice which conversations bring growth and which ones drain energy. This clarity makes future decisions easier. Focus also improves. When attention is no longer scattered across endless explanations and arguments, the mind gains space for creativity and purpose. Personal development becomes more important than winning debates. Progress replaces approval-seeking. Another change occurs within relationships themselves. The right people begin to respect the quiet confidence that replaces desperation. They see that attention is not given freely to everyone. They recognize that boundaries exist. Respect often grows when people realize that someone values their own time and energy. The absence of chasing creates a natural filter. Those who only stayed because they enjoyed control slowly lose interest. Those who appreciate genuine connection remain. The quality of relationships improves because they are no longer maintained through pressure or persuasion. Self-respect becomes stronger through this process. Each moment of calm silence reinforces the idea that dignity matters more than temporary validation. Each decision to walk away from meaningless conflict strengthens inner discipline. The mind begins to trust itself more deeply. Silence continues to serve as a powerful reminder that not every battle deserves attention. Many arguments exist only because both sides continue feeding them with words. When one side chooses silence, the conflict often fades naturally. Energy that once fueled arguments now fuels personal growth. This shift creates emotional stability. Instead of reacting instantly to every situation, a person develops patience. They wait before responding. They observe patterns before making judgments. They understand that temporary emotions do not always reflect long-term truth. Through patience, wisdom begins to develop. A calm mind sees possibilities that an emotional mind cannot see. Solutions appear more clearly when reactions slow down. Relationships improve when communication becomes thoughtful rather than reactive. Gradually, silence reveals its deeper meaning. It is not simply the absence of words. It is a deliberate choice to protect one's inner world. It is a commitment to dignity and self-respect. It is the understanding that peace often grows in the spaces where unnecessary noise once existed. Discipline plays a central role in maintaining this silence. The temptation to react remains strong in many situations. Criticism still appears. Misunderstandings still occur. The difference lies in how those moments are handled. Instead of reacting instantly, a disciplined mind pauses. It evaluates whether the situation deserves attention or silence. This pause creates freedom. Freedom from emotional manipulation, freedom from endless arguments, freedom from the exhausting need to prove worth again and again. Over time, the mind becomes stronger through this discipline. Confidence grows quietly because it no longer depends on constant external approval. Peace becomes easier to maintain because reactions are chosen rather than automatic. Respect from others often follows naturally. People notice calm strength even when it is not announced. They notice when someone refuses to participate in unnecessary drama. They notice when someone remains composed while others lose control. This respect arrives without begging and without chasing. It appears because calm presence carries influence. A person who controls their reactions controls their energy, and a person who controls their energy often shapes the atmosphere around them. Life continues to change as these principles take root. Conversations become more meaningful. Relationships become more balanced. Personal goals receive greater attention. Silence remains at the center of this transformation. Not silent weakness, not silent fear, silent discipline. Within that discipline lies a powerful truth. A person who knows their worth does not need to argue for it. A person who protects their energy does not waste it on meaningless battles. A person who values peace does not sacrifice it for temporary approval. Silence, in its strongest form, becomes a message that speaks without words. It says that dignity matters. It says that self-respect will not be traded for attention. It says that emotional control is stronger than emotional reaction. And sometimes the most powerful statement a person can make in a chaotic world is the decision to say nothing at all. Noise fills the world every day. People argue, defend themselves, chase approval, and try to prove their worth to anyone who questions them. In the middle of all this noise, something powerful often goes unnoticed. Silence. Not the silence of fear, not the silence of weakness, but the silence that comes from control, discipline, and deep self-respect. The kind of silence that refuses to waste energy on people who do not value it. The kind of silence that protects peace instead of feeding endless conflict. Most people react the moment something challenges their ego. They rush to explain, to defend, to prove they are right. But reacting is easy. Anyone can react. Strength begins when a person pauses. In that pause, emotions settle. In that pause, clarity appears. And in that pause, a person chooses dignity over desperation. Life changes when this mindset becomes a habit. The need to chase disappears. The pressure to convince others disappears. Energy returns to the things that actually matter. Growth becomes the focus instead of validation. Peace becomes stronger than pride, and slowly, something remarkable happens. The same silence that once felt uncomfortable becomes a source of confidence. You no longer feel the urge to argue with every opinion. You no longer feel the need to explain your choices to everyone around you. You understand that people who truly respect you will see your character through your actions, and those who misunderstand you were never meant to control your peace in the first place. Most people react. Strong people pause. Wise people simply walk away. They know that dignity is more valuable than winning an argument. They know that calm presence carries more power than loud words. and they know that the right people will respect the boundaries that silence creates. If this video helped you see silence and self-respect in a new way, take a moment to support the channel. Subscribe for more videos about discipline, mental strength, and timeless Stoic wisdom. This channel is not about temporary motivation. It is about mastery of the mind and control of your life. Like the video so more people can discover these ideas, and share it with someone who needs to stop chasing people and start protecting their peace. Thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next video.